Hey, I'm just waiting for a couple people to get on. I hope. Hey, Kimberly, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good, good. Just trying to get my live set up on my phone. It's messing with me.
Oh yeah, my laptop I couldn't log in. I was like, oh my gosh.
It's always something with technology. I tell you what,
I
I'm like,
know.
ah.
I was trying so hard to like get everything.
It's good that Scott's good with the technology because he's my tech guy. Ah. But awesome, yeah. So um, today's topic is relationships in recovery, I believe. So awesome. I'm Olivia. Welcome back to Choosing Recovery. Kimberly, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, Kimberly, alcoholic addict.
Yay, I'm so glad you were able to make it on today. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that relationships in recovery, when I think of relationships in recovery, I honestly don't even think about like an intimate relationship or anything like that. I think relationships are very important in recovery. Um, and I think that relationships with people also in recovery is very important. Only because, like, my family, half my family drinks, and that's fine for them. So I think, especially with family events and stuff, like, I need to have relationships in recovery to know that that's okay not to drink. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like being around them, I don't even go around them anymore. And I think learning relationships and what you do allow and what you don't allow is pretty important, especially when it comes to family members and friends. So,
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know if I really knew how to have healthy relationships of any sort. Like being a daughter, being a mother, being a friend, or
mm,
an intimate relationship. I didn't know how to have healthy ones. I let people use and abuse me. I manipulated people. So I didn't know how to have any type of relationship where both people were in it for positive reasons. Um, yeah, that was definitely a struggle when I was in active addiction.
Absolutely. I can relate to everything that you just said. Absolutely. I remember when I got into recovery, somebody said boundaries. I think it was my counselor. She said boundaries. And I was like so freaked out because I'm like, boundaries? What do you mean? And she's like, setting boundaries. I was like I had no idea what the word boundary even meant. And then like I've never established any of them in my life. And doing that, I wouldn't say boundaries, they've of course affect relationships. Only because when you start setting boundaries in a really any kind of relationship that you haven't had previous boundaries before, it can cause the other person to kind of be a little standoffish, like thinking that it's them, and it's not. Setting a boundary is a personal thing, you know, and it's just doing that for yourself. It doesn't mean that the person you're setting it with is the problem. Sometimes it can be, but most of the time when you set a boundary, it's just for yourself in general, you know. So
Yeah, boundaries are something I worked on real hard the first 9 months of my sobriety. I mean, I still struggle with it. But I had to realize that it's okay to not always do everything for everybody else. It's okay to say no to people. It's okay to let people know what you're going to tolerate.
yes, perfect.
Those that are working, I've noticed those that are working on their recovery, they're okay setting boundaries. They understand it. It's people that are unhealthy or trying to use and manipulate you. They're the only ones that seem to get mad about it. I've definitely come to see that, and it also shows me if I try to set a boundary with somebody and they're not willing to accept that boundary, then that's probably somebody that like I can love from a distance. Like I don't need them to be part of my inner circle if they're not going to respect those boundaries.
Absolutely. And like the saying that people, places, and things, and you are who you hang out with. I love that. You are who you hang out with. That is the most true thing I've ever heard. Like, I don't know. It literally, if you look around the people that you're around and you don't like the way that they respond to people, if they're not respectful of other people or in public in general, and you see that, that reflects you, though. You may not have to do anything, but just being around them, you're associating with them, and people look at you the same way that they look at them. You know what I mean? I think that's so important. And the people and places and things, you know, when they say that, it's everywhere. Because when I first heard that, I thought getting away from my hometown, dropping all the people that I've ever hung out with, doing those things would keep me away from the things and the situations, right? Like the places and the things if I stayed away from those people. And I did, and I dropped them. And I realized going to a different place, they just change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the other people that you think you're going to associate with, and all of a sudden you're in these bad situations and you're like, how did I end up here? You know, and it's because, and I think that's like respecting where other people are at in their recovery is also a huge part of my recovery, because I want everybody to feel welcome, you know, and to know that I was there at one point too, you know, and then like working on myself has changed dramatically. And my relationship with my mother was horrible in my early recovery. I had a lot of resentment towards her. She had like huge resentments towards me. And it was just really hard, and I would set boundaries with her and she would do everything in her power to cross them, right? And I would just be like, you know what? I need to step back, because I'm not going to accept this. This is not the relationship that I want. And my probation officer, he is a miracle. I tell you what, he said, your relationship is as healthy as the healthiest person in it. And I was like, well, we're both fucked up then. Because, you know what I mean? Like, so it is me. And that's what I think is amazing about the programs, is we get to work on ourselves and grow. And just doing that really affects positively to the people around you.
I mean, I had to, which I thought this was weird as a mother, I had to set boundaries with my kids.
Yeah.
as my relationship grow, I had to let them know that my recovery was going to come above them. And there are times that I go see them and I have to cut things early because I need to get to a meeting. I have commitments, and they've come to respect that, and and it's made our relationships grow because they know how important it is to me, and they know that if I stop working on my recovery, that there's a good chance they're just going to lose their mom again. So they're okay with it.
Which is incredible. And that's just, it goes to show, like, working on yourself really does help the relationships around you. It doesn't change them, but that's not the point. It's changing yourself to be better and do better. And that still positively affects the relationships around you. That's awesome.
Definitely.
And then the intimate side of relationships and early recovery. Like, thinking back on it now, it's like, I remember when in rehab, like, I did so much growth, and they're like, Olivia, but you don't leave well. Like, you're not just fixed. You know what I mean? Like, you're not just going to work on yourself and then you're just going to be okay. Like, it's a continuous growth thing. Like, you have to continually do this. And thinking back now, I can just see how sick I was. And I remember they were like, don't do a relationship in the first year of recovery, right? They're like, get a plant. So I got a cactus. And it's alive, though. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty proud of myself. But, like, now I have, like, other plants and I'm in a relationship and with a child, right? Like, the whole point of the plant or whatever is to make sure you're responsible, to be able to go out of your way outside of yourself to continuously care for something other than you. And yeah, so I had a cactus and I put myself in some pretty bad, dangerous situations. And of course, it was other people in the room. And another saying is, just because people go to the rooms doesn't make them well. Like, we don't come to meetings because we're fixed and we're okay. Like, we come to meetings because we're continuously growing, right? And so I got with somebody in a meeting, and I was really growing a lot, and I never dated men my age. So they're like double my age, right? Like, this guy was in his late 40s. And I didn't think there was anything wrong at the time, but I did a lot of work on myself, and there was reasons for it. But he was very abusive, and it was a very scary and hard situation to get out of. So I think that just knowing that you can do something in recovery, like if you're going to get in a relationship, I would say just give yourself time. Everybody's time is going to be different, you know what I mean? But after that relationship, I ended up not dating for a while, and I focused on myself. And I fell in love with myself. You know what I mean? And I think that's when I love to spend time by myself. I think that it can just be, like, with intimate relationships, especially for me, because I have that addictive personality and kind of go big with everything. It was dangerous. I put myself in some dangerous situations that I could have avoided. That's what I should say. That I could have avoided.
Yeah, so when I first got sober, somebody that I had known before I went to prison in that lifestyle with reached out to me, and I thought I would be fine to hang out with him, and I was hanging out with him quite frequently. And then I slowly realized that he was getting back into that lifestyle and trying to hide it from me. And so as much as it hurt, I had to cut him off.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known him for 10 plus years, and I had to cut him off. And it was rough and it hurt. But like you said, I then learned to love myself, which was something that was really hard for me. I always struggle with loving myself or know my self-worth or thinking anything I did, no matter what. I mean, even this, I questioned a couple times, like, why should I get on there? Like, I don't have a lot of sobriety. I don't have a lot to offer. that's just how I've been my whole life, is always questioning when something positive is coming into my life. Like, can I do it? And so I did. I learned to love myself, and I was content with being single. If a relationship comes, it comes. Like, I'm not gonna like chase anybody. I'm not, like, I don't need to. I am content. I did just get into a relationship. He's in recovery as well.
Awesome.
We've been friends for a while, and it just kind of happened. Like, neither one of us expecting it, was not planned. Yeah, and I mean, it's good. I mean, like I said, it's new, but I think because I loved myself and because I wasn't expecting it or looking to get in a relationship, I feel when you're looking to get into a relationship, you're trying to feed something that's still empty inside of you.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that's part of our addiction, is feeding something that's missing. So, yeah, back to that loving yourself. I feel like if you love yourself and somebody is put in front of you that is also has learned how to love themselves and has the same values as you, then I feel like those are more special than ones that you chase after, or you're just, ooh, that person's super attractive, like, yeah, like that isn't, that's part of our addiction.
And it never ended well, and I feel like I was always trying to feed I was always trying to feed the parts of me that I hid from. So, like, it was so weird because, like, I felt more complete. I had more confidence. I felt more empowered in a relationship. And that's just dangerous grounds because I always looked for relationships. I'm going to be real. I always looked for them. And it didn't really matter with who. And there was a time when I really had to face that and figure out what I want in life. And yeah, it was funny because I got with Scott, my husband now, when he was still in the halfway house. And my sponsee was driving my car, and she knew him, and we were bringing him back from a meeting. And I've seen him in the meetings, and I was like, he's so cute. And he got out, and he was like punching in the number or whatever. And I was like, hey, you're cute. And he's like, you want my number? And I'm like, yeah, right. And he just walked into the building. And I was like, did he just offer his number and then walk away from me? Like, I was so confused. And then he comes out and he goes, here, take it, right? But that's like how me and him got talking and everything. And it was just, he goes, I walked in there because I was nervous. And I was like, oh my gosh. But
yeah, I know that for me in active addiction, again, like you said, you were looking for relationships, like, and then so I would look for relationships, any guy that would give me attention most of the time. But then as soon as it would start to like get that I was being around that person a lot, it was, oh nope, now get away from me, because like I don't want you really knowing me. I don't want you to know anything about me. I don't want you to get feelings for me. And then it was on to chase the next, like,
yeah.
And I've seen it with a lot of other people, and that is just unhealthy. I feel like we're going to keep going back to the learning to love yourself. I didn't love myself when I was in active addiction, and so that's how I behaved, let guys use and abuse me. I used and manipulated them, like,
yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't see anything wrong with it. Now looking back, I could see how wrong that is on both parts.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't see anything wrong with it.
And then I think also, like, with relationships with family members, I think I got really lucky there because the only person that really struggled with a relationship was my mom. I put my mom through a lot. But anyways, I never, like, when I was in my active addiction, I removed myself. I went to the city. Like, I completely left our area. I did not stick around for too long. I really just, like, left and took all of my craziness with me. So like my family didn't really see it. They saw parts of it, like if I came home for like the holidays or something, right? Like playing it cool. Um, but yeah, I think I got lucky because I never, in my active addiction, I much rather have hurt myself than hurt anybody else around me. And I remember I was at this point where I was going to come home and steal all of my dad's power tools and sell them. And then I thought about it and I was like, wow, let me just go prostitute myself. So I went and I did that instead. And I put myself in that kind of a lifestyle to support my own habits. But saying that because, like, I never hurt my family, I chose to just do my own thing. But I think that helped me in my recovery because I know a lot of people, it takes a long time for trust to get back. You know, like I was just talking to somebody that had they were sharing our story on our YouTube channel, and they said that they still struggle to this day about trust, and it's over like 2 years. And he's like, when they look at me, they see me 2 years ago. Like they don't even give me the opportunity to show them that I've improved, to show them that I've changed, you know, and that's difficult. Sometimes trust can take so long, especially with yourself.
Yeah. My relationships with my parents, with my dad and stepmom, it was easier because they're in the program also, and they live where I ended up. So they see me going, but I mean, so they see how much I changed, but at the same time, because growing up, I didn't have a good relationship with dad, he still looks at me like a 13-year-old girl a lot of times.
Oh, no.
So, like, I've earned his trust when it comes to most things, but when it comes to making my own grown-up decisions, my dad still doesn't trust my opinion on stuff. I'll tell him about, like, job opportunities or volunteer opportunities that I have. He'll be like, oh, you've got too much on your plate. Oh, are you really ready for that? Like, he'll try to take what jobs I choose and what kind of volunteer stuff I do. So now a lot of stuff I don't even run it by him. Like, and it's just easier that way because he has to realize I'm an adult. Just because he wasn't there for my teenage years doesn't mean that he now gets to act like I'm a teenager.
Bingo.
My mom has been dealing with, between my dad and my brother and I, she has been dealing for the last 35 years with either alcoholism or addiction. I definitely lost her trust when I went to prison.
Yeah.
I was starting to get it back, and then I relapsed. I do feel like I have my mom's trust again, but like you, I didn't steal from her. I didn't do that kind of stuff. I never crossed that line. So when it came to that kind of stuff, I didn't have to earn back their trust. I had to earn back trust when it came to like letting me spend time with my son, who they raised the majority of his life. Even going back into their house, even though I never stole, other family members have, so they kind of had lost trust in general. But like I can now go over to my mom's house and walk in the house and it's okay. She lets me take my son to go do stuff. You know, like this summer, she told me I could take him for a few days down here. Like, so I have earned back her trust, but it was harder to earn back her trust because I didn't understand addiction that much. She has been more willing to talk to me about it this time than any other time that I've attempted to get me. But I think a lot of that has to do with she sees how hard I'm working this time. I'm not just being clean and not working on myself. Like, she's definitely seen that I'm working to make things better. I mean, she came down to my anniversary. She has never stepped foot into a meeting of any sort before. And for my year anniversary, she came down and sat in the meeting. Right, like.
Yay! That's incredible. And that just goes to show, like I was saying earlier, you work on yourself and the relationships around you, they change because you change. And I'm not saying, like, that it's not them. Like, I'm not saying that at all because, like, it can be them, but it's the way you handle it and the way you look at things. You know what I mean? And that's how it changes because you get to do that. And I think you shared on a huge, huge thing right there, especially when you were talking about your father and how you just don't share certain things with him anymore because of the way that he reacts to those things. That's huge. It was so hard for me to realize that. That hurt my heart. There was people in my life that I thought I could just share anything with and have them be supportive and loving and caring and all that. I realized very quickly and early on I had few many. I know I could count on my sponsor. But like family wise, I think it's very smart to only share so much of your life with some people, because if you realize that somebody is acting a certain way each time and it's negatively affecting you, you don't need that. You can love them, you can respect their opinion, but you no longer have to give. It's like putting your hand out for them to slap you. You don't have to put your hand out anymore. I think that's huge. That's important. And all relationships are so important around you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and it's not that I don't respect my dad's opinion, and he has great recovery to offer, but he doesn't know me. I mean, he knows me, but he doesn't know me, like, completely.
Right.
So he doesn't know that I'm the type of person that the more I put on my plate, the better I do. I know when my plate is too full. I know when it is. But if today is supposed to be my day off that I'm relaxing. And then I kept, like, slowly over the last couple of days adding stuff to my plate to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, what is the least important thing? Like, what can I take out of my day and be okay with it? That's not going to, be my self-care stuff. So, this morning, after I got done a bunch of stuff I needed to do, I was like, all right, I've got 2.5 hours for the podcast. Let's get some laundry. And in between laundry, I'm going to give myself a facial. I'm going to take a nice hot shower. I'm going to exfoliate. I'm going to give myself a mini pedicure. I was like, I can do that. I can squeeze those things so that I get some self-care. Grocery shopping can wait. I have enough to eat today. Grocery shopping can wait until a different day. So, I'm going to cut that out and add self-care.
And the relationship with yourself is so, the most important, right? And that's so funny because today, we've been so busy. So we've, it was 3 days since I've showered, right? And it was always, putting the baby down or, you know what I mean? So I never had that time to myself. And this morning, I was like, no, because I was putting the baby down last night, and I have not showered, right? And I was like, I want to so bad, but then by the time I get him down, I'm tired, right? So this morning, I was like, oh, no. And I just went and I showered, and I exfoliated, and I washed my face, and I did all that, and then I even put freaking makeup on today. You know what I mean? And then I went for a walk outside, and I got in the sun, and I started doing things that are going to help me tomorrow. I think that's, doing things along to help you tomorrow. Anyways, but I love that. I think that's incredibly important.
Yeah. It's important to remember to have a relationship with yourself, because if you don't do those things for yourself and you're so worn down, what do you really have to offer to anybody else? I mean, if I'm worn down and tired and I'm cranky and I feel horrible about myself, and one of my kids calls and needs something, how much can I really offer them?
Right.
I can't offer them anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, this morning I was going through my day and I was like, no, I need to do something for me.
I love that.
I haven't been all week. I've been taking care of everybody else. I need to do something for me this morning.
That's awesome. It's so important. And I think that since the topic is relationships, all relationships around you, I think for me and my recovery are extremely important. Because there's people that give me anxiety for no reason. No reason. Like, they did nothing to give me anxiety. I just get anxiety around them. And I literally I'll tell them that. Like, I work a 10th step with my relationships because I think that they're so important. Is to sit down and go through it and figure out what's going on. Um, because I've found that I'm insecure. You know, like I spent a lot of my life trying to please everybody else. Um, so for me, I have to put myself first and I have to realize I'm not everybody else's opinion about myself. And if I can look at myself in the mirror and I'm happy, then I'm doing great, you know? So I think that's so important is to be able to see if there's something going on because it's like the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Like, especially because we're so busy, right? And I think staying busy in my recovery is extremely important as well. That's a great topic, by the way. um, but yeah, I think that being able to catch things as they are, and especially in relationships to work on them with the other person is important because I take everybody's thing to heart when I'm weak, right? Like when I'm allowing that to happen. I used to say all the time, what you say about me is none of my business. So sometimes I forget.
Yeah, I try to go by that too. My thing, instead of anxiety, I tend to get angry at people real easy, but then I will take that anger on what one person did and like sometimes I'm not able to approach that person and talk to them either because I've tried talking to them and they don't get it, or I know my temper enough to know that I can't speak to them about it currently.
Yes.
But what I do is I tend to take it out on myself. Like I'll somebody will do something, so I'll try to sabotage something good going on in my own life. And I'm like, no, like they should not have an impact on your life. Like, who cares what they said? Who cares what they think? Like, they did something to make you mad. Like, either cut them out of your life, or when the time is right, approach them and try to talk to them about it. Self-sabotage is a big thing that I do with myself to deal with my emotions.
Yes. That's huge. I realized that my big character defect is anger and resentments. So that's why I hold so dearly to my relationships. And there's people in my life that I will flat out tell them why they give me anxiety or like what I think is going on in our relationship, and they completely like get upset, block me out. And I'm like, that's fine because I was probably heading the same way to distance myself from you because you know, I can only allow certain things in my life because then after that, if it's affecting me, you know, you really got to focus on yourself and put yourself first, right? Like we're the most important things and our recovery is literally us. Because without us, we can't help others.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely helped me relationships out of my life by focusing on a lot of things we're talking about, you know, learning to love ourselves and having those boundaries and paying attention to how people make us feel when we're around them. I've definitely been able to weed out relationships based on those things. Like, if I'm the only one giving in a relationship of any sort, and they're never willing to give anything, it's always give me, give me, give me. Like, those aren't people I need in my life. I mean, we all have our days that we're like, okay, you just need to take on all of my stuff for today. Like, I'm having a rough time. Like, please, like, I need you, I need you, I need you. But it should be a back and forth thing with any type of relationship, you know? Daughter, parent, it should be a back and forth, you know, on helping each other and doing for each other. Like,
it's a two-way street.
I've never really seen that before.
Yeah, my therapist, because I love my family. I do. There's a part of my family. I think they watch this. So if you do, I mean, this is where, I don't know. So anyways, my therapist goes, Olivia, what happens if you don't call them? What happens if you don't text them? I was like, oh. And she's like, just try it and see if they call you. And I'm like, great. I don't get a call. You know what I mean? So, that's the thing. Like, we put ourselves out there and we get so invested into things. And I think that's where we need to, we need to protect ourselves. And we need to only give our energy to those that are willing to put forth the same effort, It's huge. It's very important. Like, I'm not gonna, because I was getting so upset, and then I think it's me. My mind is crazy. And then I think that I'm insecure. I think that they're mad at me. I think that I'm not good enough. Like, all this stuff, that's so unnecessary. It's literally because their priority in their life are not me. They're busy, and that's okay. If you can only see me every now and then, or like on holidays or whatever, that's fine. That's just where it's at. You know what I mean? So, I think protecting ourselves and our recovery in any relationship is very important, no matter who it is, right?
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely something, it's okay to protect my feelings. It's okay to not be a people pleaser.
Yes!
It's okay if people don't, as long as I didn't do something to intentionally hurt somebody, it's okay if they don't like me. Not everyone's gonna like me. And, once realizing those things, it made it a lot easier. I mean, there are some people that I don't care to be around. Doesn't mean that they're a bad person. I just don't care to be around. So I just, if I see them, I will say hi, but I don't make an effort to talk to them or to reach out to them. And that's okay.
It is.
Not everybody meant to be friends. Not everyone is meant to have connections with each other.
Yeah, and the greatest thing my sponsor ever taught me was, no is such a spiritual thing. And at the time when she said that, I was like, what do you mean spiritual? You know what I mean? Because saying no is for you. And that's why it was so hard for me to tell people no, is because I was doing it for myself. And like you were talking about, I had to learn how to put me first, and to put me there. So, yeah, this is great. This was a great topic. Do you have anything else that you wanted to share on it?
Well, you just said about being spiritual.
Yeah.
That is one relationship I never thought I would have. I was so against any type of praying or anything to do with God. And that was something, it was suggested to me at the beginning of my recovery. And I took the suggestion. And, yeah, to have a relationship with a higher power, 15 months ago, if someone had said that to me, I would have laughed at them. And to now know that, and to, want to elevate it. One of the girls that live in the house with me is going to start doing a Bible study with me.
Awesome.
I started, instead of just sitting on the back porch and praying, I started hitting my knees. Those are things that I thought I would ever do. But how that relationship is, and that is nothing that I expected myself to have.
I was absolutely blown away with my spirituality. I guess I'm kind of one of those cliche, I found my higher power in my jail cell, right? So in jail, I started a Bible study, and that was incredible. And I think it's great about the program is the spiritual awakening happens all the time. You don't get one spiritual awakening. It's it's always there. If you're open-minded and you're willing to accept, you see it and you're like, "Oh my goodness, it's incredible." But definitely for the as I say for my higher power is mine is the gift of desperation. The God. That is straight up my higher power because I needed that to get well. There was no person, there was nothing that was on this planet that was going to save my life. I hated myself. Hated everything about myself. I hated my life. I hated all the stuff I went through. Hated everything. I was on a suicide mission for years. And I didn't care if I lived or died, and I played Russian roulette every day. But that's why I always say God, gift of desperation, because I needed that. That's my spirituality. You know, like that brought me here. And I think it's incredible. Like, it's an amazing relationship. Like, I cry sometimes because I'm like, how am I here today? Like, what wanted me alive? Like, I'm here and I'm doing all of this, and I don't, why me? You know, like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I say the why me a lot. And then for that, like, I have some sort of purpose. Like,
yep.
You know, like, if by me doing stuff like this, like, even though I have said to you, like, I was uncomfortable and I questioned why, like, there was a reason, because I wasn't even following you at the time. There was a reason why you popped up on my For You.
Yeah.
And I responded to it. Like, there was a reason for that. Like, who knows? Like, you know, it's just me and you having a conversation right now. How many people could we potentially help? Like, you never know. Like, you know, somebody could stumble across it. Like, it's just those kind of things. Like, those are like aha God moments.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, I've had so many of them. Even the day I reached out, I don't remember what happened that morning. I don't remember even thinking, having the thought, I'm going to call my dad and ask for help. I somehow called my dad on a phone that had no phone service. I somehow got hold of my dad.
Yes.
And asked him for help. Like, that is nothing but God. Like, that is not me. Like, that is not me at all. Because I don't remember doing it. I don't know how I did it. Like,
incredible. It really is. That's another great topic, too. So, yeah, do you have anything else that you wanted to share about the relationships? I didn't know if... I mean, we can keep going? Okay. Yeah, I know. It's just because it's you and us.
I know.
You and us. Like, me and my multiple different personalities over here, but you and us. So, yeah, I think that... I don't know. A lot of girls have been going through some hard situations in their life. I've tried to contact them and stuff, so we're all just going to keep supporting each other, and hopefully the people that can get on the podcast will get on the podcast. I'm leaving it open to everybody.
Okay.
So, yeah, hopefully people can, and if not, we'll still support them and love them. So, awesome.
Right.
I will stay in touch with you, and I'll see you next time.
All right. Have a nice day.
You too, Kimberly. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.